Welcome to the Open House Podcast where women talk real estate. I'm Steph Douglas.
And I'm Christina Moderis.
I was on a podcast yesterday. I'm on that podcast every month. Did you know that?
No, we should post about
Yeah, we
that,
should.
I feel like, or like share it.
I know. It's good. It's like, and this time we talked about real estate. We talked about that article that I posted in Slack. But yeah, we do like the one about how people are sitting on the sidelines just waiting for the rates to go down. But it's for women. Each woman has a different like perspective. So one person is corporate, I'm real estate, someone's stock market. But anyway,
that's cool.
I'm loving
it. Like a investing podcast.
Yeah.
Cool.
But just with
the
women.
Factora.
Yeah. Coffee and coin.
Cool.
So how are you?
Coin.
What's going on?
Shout out. I feel like I just short circuited. Good. I don't know. I think I'm good. I was just like distracted. I was just telling Steph that at our new office, which I'm very excited for you all to see, the AC was just replaced. So we're renting this commercial space and the AC wasn't working for the whole time that my boyfriend Eric was installing like these complicated herringbone floors in this like ridiculous heat that Steph and I keep talking about.
Yeah.
And then they replaced it and then the AC just wasn't working again this morning. It was like already, it's only like 9:00 and it was already 85 degrees in there. And they didn't replace the insulation on the coil outside. So, or on the, what's it called?
Something, well, I don't know exactly, but like if it thinks it's so hot, then it's going to overwork and then freeze up, right?
There's the line outside on the AC that always has this like padding on it, insulation, and they didn't replace that. So it was like not being insulated. So it was over cooling, so it froze. So that's the issue now, which is an easy fix. So it's so annoying that they didn't fix it. So I think Eric might just go replace it, and then we're gonna be like, okay, landlords, please,
yes,
please. He was like, I can't find your hot water heater. I was like, oh, and he was like, I don't know where it is, so maybe ask them where it is. And I was like, surely they'll have a hot water heater. Like we need hot water.
Yes. Definitely. Right.
Anyway,
the joys of renting is it's not there.
It's like the same. It almost feels like we own it, but like we're not. There's no. I don't know. It's like we're spending all this money and there's not going to be a benefit in the end.
Yes.
Besides, we have a lovely space.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lovely space while we're renting it. But like, here's the reality though. That's making me realize this. I would much rather just pay someone and like be in control of who's doing what they're doing, and then be able to get that money at the end when I sell. Like,
yes,
I guess it's like a need for control or something. And I guess we have experience doing this, and so some people are intimidated. But like, the intimidation is not worth how much money you're losing every month in rent.
No, and I think we've gotten so good at like just being quick on our feet. Like yesterday, this happened yesterday. A new guest checked in at our Airbnb in Florida, and they were like, the internet's out, and I was like, ugh. And so I had to like quickly call the ACE or the internet company, figure it out. But within like 3 hours, I had it back working again. But and like our AC had gone out like a couple weeks ago, and I had it on within 5 hours. So it's like, it's not easy. Like I had to call like literally 15 companies for someone to come out so late in the day. And then our landlord, I was like, our AC's out at this commercial space, which we don't live at, but like still people are working there. Like it's hard. Manual labor is so hard, especially in the heat. And so it's just, anyway, they didn't get our AC running for like what? A week?
Yeah. Oh yeah. At least.
And I was like, this is insane. If it were me, I would have called someone, found someone immediately, like to come out, because this is like serious. People are dying in this heat. So anyway, it's like pros and cons, but I think at this point in our real estate careers, we would much rather have the control over that.
Yes.
Also, like, I feel like all the contractors they're hiring are landlords are hiring are like I was telling Steph, so they had to replace the AC at our commercial space, and they had to open up a bigger gap in the ceiling to go put in the bigger unit. And they had left it there, so of course it was hot in the building, so they hired a contractor to come repair it. And the contractor, Eric, was like, hey guy, do you need help? Because he was just like standing there,
hey guy,
kind of like trying to piece it together for like 4 hours. And I was like, he's like, I mean, this is like a 1 hour job.
Yeah, for
maybe?
someone who
like,
who knows what they're doing. Yes.
So I was just like, what are you doing? And he like came out one day and just like looked at it and left. Came out the next day and was like, still took him like a full day to just fix it. I was like, who are you guys hiring over there?
I know. It's like, it's easy to be absent-minded if you have so many property, you know, like if you have a landlord that's just like has so many properties, we're small potatoes to them. But it's important so that people are comfortable, or at least not even comfortable, just like alive.
Yeah, like, yeah. And so I think, yeah, like you can be a good landlord. I think like a smaller landlord who actually cares about their property and cares about the people in it, like, I don't know, it's just people are, you know, again, we had a viral-ish TikTok and people hating on, less hate on landlords though. More just like, I have no friends. And I was like, so many people said I had no friends. And I was like, this is
so many
get
people.
Off TikTok.
Get off TikTok. Stop commenting on TikTok. Yeah.
Get off of it.
I know.
Find friends.
It breaks my heart. It really does. Every time they're like, well, you need friends to do this. You know, it's very like a lot of disdain. And then a lot of people being like, this is a terrible idea. This is the worst idea I've ever seen.
Buying with friends, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Like buying a house with friends is the worst idea in the world.
Yeah.
I would never do that. And I'm like, oh no, guys. There's so many people in this world who probably want to be your friend. Like, or if you have no friends and you're like, look inward, like something you're doing is off.
Yeah. And if you have only friends that would make terrible partners in real estate, then that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, like I would never do this with any of my friends.
Yeah.
Which I think, I get it. I think when me and you met in our early 20s, like none of our friends were thinking about that.
True.
It just depends on that point in your life. But like, you know, if you're like 30 and you have no friends who would do this with you, I'm like, I don't know.
I know. I was thinking about this too, because we kind of talk through in our meetings, like, okay, well, if you're going to do this with a romantic partner, why not with a friend? And like, I do understand, like with a romantic partner, your futures are intertwined. You're on the same path walking forward. You're like, you have similar goals. I get that. But like, this isn't like you're buying a house to live in forever and you're about to, you know, this is like a vacation home that you can enjoy, that you'd want to enjoy with your friends anyway, that like, if you do it right, you're not putting your friendship in danger. You could be strengthening your friendship, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think they're just thinking of that. And I think, honestly, a lot of them haven't thought about buying a house in this way before. So it kind of blows their mind. Like, they're just like, and then a lot of them think like, oh, if you're buying a house with friends, you're living in it, right? Like you're living in these houses. And it depends on the stage of your life, right? Like when me and Steph were buying houses in our 20s, yeah, we were living with friends. We were like buying houses and renting them, you know, renting a room out or whatever, living with friends. I think at this point we're in the stage of like, you know, you got a ranch house that I'm like that with 5 friends that you guys like go and visit because you rented out spaces like that to go hang out with all your friends. And you're like, well, why don't we try to find something that like we don't necessarily have to go rent out from someone else? Like we could do this. So anyway, it's I think we're just like hopefully opening up other people's minds, where maybe they're just like resistant to it now, but the more they see this concept.
What if like you have friends now that you're not doing any business, you know, you have just like this one note relationship with them, and then you do business with them and you see deeper who they are, and then it's bad. And that's maybe what experience people have had. But like maybe you don't want to be friends with them anyway if when they get into business they're greedy or they're not pulling their weight or all of these things. And like, do you want to be friends with them even if you don't do business with, you know what I mean?
That's such a good point. And like, I think we've had to learn that lesson in some ways. Like, it's, you do find out the true character of someone when you go through this.
Yes.
And I would say, like, you're going to find that out. You're also going to find out maybe not everyone is meant to buy real estate in this way. But the way they handle the situation really speaks to their character and speaks to if you really want to be their friend, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We've had to dissolve, not even dissolve, just like amend some LLCs or whatever. And it's gone well. Like we still have either the property or we still, and we still have the relationship because we've taken the steps to make sure that it doesn't ruin anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not saying that like it's not going to be easy. It can be awkward. But like, so is a good friendship.
Yes.
Like, I think I've told you this before, like my friend Kendall, I've known for forever. And, she was telling me a while ago, like, I'm just so glad that we can get through issues. Like, we can actually like resolve these things. Like, maybe we'll get into a fight or maybe we'll like talk these things out and it's awkward, but like, I think it makes us stronger. And I'm like, yes, exactly.
Yes.
Like, conflict is okay.
Yes. Yes. We've learned that as business owners too. It's like this, and that strengthens a relationship. Like, you have this foundation with which people can make mistakes and you can recover. It's not just like, all right, well, that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
So I think that got a little bit deep, but it just makes me think about it when people are like, never do business with friends. It's like, you just must have some superficial relationships potentially. That's a stretch. That everybody who doesn't do this has superficial relationships, but
it might hit like a sore subject for them.
Right.
It might just like trigger them a little bit.
Yeah.
It's obviously triggering many people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we just don't like excuses anyway. So we're like,
yes.
But people on there it's a lot of people who are commenting. I'm like, guys, look at you. You're all the common denominator. You're saying you don't have friends and you're all the ones commenting on this. I don't know. I'm like, guys, I don't know.
The internet,
we need
man.
to get off TikTok. Get off the internet.
Okay. Well, otherwise we are speaking of our partnership and our office, it's going to be done somewhat soon.
Yes. Well, it has to be because guys, we're throwing a huge party for everyone to come see it on September 21st. So please RSVP. We'll have the link in the show notes. It's from 6 to 10. It is on a Thursday, school night, but it's okay. Like Fridays, are we working? I don't know. We're half-assing it on Fridays.
Yeah.
So, but and our space is designed, as some of you may know, by Danny Cleric. She's actually coming next week to hopefully finish everything up. Everything's built by Eric.
Yeah, seriously.
unknown Eric, but he thank you to him.
Yeah.
And we're expecting around 200 to 300 people. We're going to have a live band. We're going to have like a little vendor market, a DJ, a petting zoo, photographer, like photo booth, food truck, gelato, free drinks. Like, it's like all free. So come RSVP and bring your friends. We're really, really excited about this.
I can't wait. They're always so much more fun than I think. So I have high hopes for this one, but the space is right. Like we were involved, our neighbors, which is so sweet. Our neighbors in our little business complex are all women owned, and everybody's just so friendly and so lovely. So come get to know a little like corner of East Austin that maybe you've never been to.
Yeah, I am excited. Okay, what are we? Oh yeah, we're talking about your new project. It's like your storage container home that you guys did.
Okay, I'm gonna start from the beginning of this one because it's kind of a wild story. So speaking of partnerships, we had a partner on a property in San Antonio, me, Christina, and then one other person. And she kind of like is super ambitious and then wants to like do these projects. And so we did a project together. It didn't go terribly, but it wasn't our favorite property by any means. And I believe that we pretty much broke even at the end of it. But she decided that instead of pursuing real estate, which is, you know, when we all met, we were very excited about it. She wanted to pursue a life in rural Maine, farming and, you know, all of that. So she moved away from Texas, and she did have a property in Austin. And when she was like, I don't want to do this anymore, like I'm pulling out of Austin, I'm done, which is cool to see that, you know, someone can pivot so hard. But she was like, Steph, what can I get for my house? Like, I want to sell it. And I was like, actually, like my family business is in the market, and she had built this. I mean, I saw her renovate it. She did a really good job. She built out a shed in the back to be like a little suite that she had on Airbnb. The front house was a long-term tenant. So it was a very like stable property, and my family was interested in that as like adding that to our portfolio. So I was like, okay, what are you looking to get? She told me what she was looking to get. I was like, actually, that's like very doable. So it was a really cool win-win all around. And it's a pretty large lot. And there was already a storage container, a shipping container, and another little shed there. Have you seen, you've seen like the befores, right?
I worked on that
Oh,
project
yeah.
with her. And I helped her demo it, actually.
Yes. There's pictures, I think. There's pictures of you demoing, and there's like, yeah, down to the studs. So that shipping container was just sitting back there, and it was storage for her. Like, she had a bunch of stuff in there, but she cleared it out, and we were like, oh, this shipping container could be, you know, there's shipping container homes, shipping container bars. So we decided to build that shipping container out into a little 1-bed, 1-bath unit. And we used the shed to like add a little bit of square footage because it wasn't very big.
Wait, before you move on, so so she sold it to you.
Yes.
Right. And tell us about who bought it. Cause I know, I was going to say, like, tell us about your latest family business project, and this is it. Yeah. So for some people, who may not know, what is this family business and its goals? Who's in it?
Yes. Okay. So my mom, my uncle, and I have an LLC together. We're called REMAU LLC, and it's an ode to my grandpa who passed away a couple years ago. And we have decided we have like an end goal of each of us having a retirement fund and working together as a family and like growing closer. And it's really worked. I mean, you know, there's always challenges working with family, but like it's been overall pretty successful. My uncle, who lives in California, he's a mortgage lender, and he is 33% owner. My mom is a property manager. She's 33% owner, and I am the real estate side, and I'm also 33%. So each of us have equal shares, and we buy and renovate properties. And we have a formula where we buy a property that has access on the alley or a big lot or access into the backyard from the side. And we add a little unit in the back to rent out on either long-term or Airbnb or midterm. And so we've done this. We have 13 doors now. And our goal is to have 20 doors, and then we'll stop and we'll start taking draws from the company. So we have taken 0 draws so far.
Explain what doors mean.
Yes. So doors, essentially like this property that I'm talking about, it's one property, one address, but there are 3 doors. There's the front house, which is a long-term rental, the studio, which is an Airbnb, and then the back house that I'm about to talk about, that is a midterm rental, and that's what I mean by doors. So we actually don't have 13 properties. We just have 13 units.
So let's go back then. You bought this property and you're with your family business and started getting into it. I guess, how much did you pay for it?
Yes. We bought the property for $485,000, which is honestly probably more than what we could get for it now. Like, you know, the market goes up and down, and, you know, with maybe how it's built out, maybe we could, because there are 3 doors, but it was like, we could cover the payment with the rental income that was already happening, which is already a pretty good deal. So we bought it for $485,000. We then kept the long-term tenant in there. She stayed, and we continued to do the Airbnb on the side, the studio, and the studio does not have a kitchen. So that means it's not a good candidate for long-term, because you
and Oh, the studio is like a little tiny house.
It's like a tiny little house. It's like
Eric built the door in there.
Yes, it's a very cool door. It's really cool. And it's like you open the door and it's a bed and that's it. It's a bed and a bathroom. Like it's nothing fancy.
And what part of town is this property?
Yeah, it's in East Austin, but it's Mentopolis, so like southeast a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely, I mean, like up and coming, but it's really, really close to a big park. And the street is like wide, and I really, really like that area.
So there's that front house. What are the specs of that?
Yeah, the front house is 2-bed, 1-bath. The bedrooms are like somewhat small, but the living space is open and big. It's really beautiful. The tenant actually has it furnished like really well. And she pays $2,200 a month, and that's all bills paid. So she's there. She's got a little yard. She's got her driveway. She's got a pretty good setup. And
it's pretty big. Like the square footage is like what, like 6?
I think that it's like 1150 or something. Like, so,
oh really?
It's like
it feels so big in there.
But I mean, there's some 2-bed, 1-baths on the east side that are like 600 square feet. So like, it's like double the size of what it could be.
That's true. My 3-bedroom, 1-bath is 885.
Yeah,
feet,
so it does feel spacious. And and she like walks the trail every day, and I don't think she has a car actually. So she's just like, it's very close to stuff. She can ride her bike or walk. So yeah. And then the Airbnb on the side, the one that we were just talking about, it brings in about $2,000 a month after all expenses. So like cleaning, management, all of it. And so we're at $4,200 a month in income for the property. And then we just finished our shipping container like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. Wait, first, how much is the mortgage of the property right now?
The mortgage is $3,200 with everything. So $32 with insurance, taxes, principal, and interest.
That's amazing. Okay, so you're gonna definitely cash flow like quite a bit.
Yeah. When you optimize and like especially since it was already in place, like cash flowing, it was actually a really good deal for us.
And you could say you kind of bought at like what people might think is like, oh, this was the worst time to buy or something, you know?
Absolutely. Right? Exactly. That's what we always try to tell people is like, it's not about like a blanket statement. This is such a bad time to buy. Cause our interest rate's not great. Like $3,200 a month is high. That's like, but when you have the right things in place or you've optimized the space, then it can still make sense.
And it's nice that it already came with those 2 properties. It came with the front house and that little tiny house.
Yes.
And then you guys saw that container, and some people would be like, oh, that's cool. Like save it for another day. But, which actually I think she did. She was like, I'm going to work it. Like, I'm going to fix up this tiny house, which she did. And then the container house, she was like, I'm going to sell it. So now you were here fixing up this container house.
Yes.
And how did that go?
Great. And actually she had plans. She had already run electrical and water to the back. So it was like kind of nice that it was already in place. And we had them move the shed. So it was kind of like catty corner. The corners are touching. And so you do have to go outside the shipping container to go into the kitchen. But I thought that was kind of like open air, kind of quirky and fun. But we hired one crew to do everything, which is kind of luxurious, and usually it will cost a little bit more than like GCing and piecing it together yourself, but it was worth it because there was a lot of elements to this, because they had to do the plumbing, they had to do the tile, the flooring, the walls, like the drywall. So we ended up spending, actually I have the spreadsheet pulled up, we spent $39,117 on the build out, which was everything including materials and labor.
Cool. I mean, that's and so in that area, how much are you guys trying to bring in?
I had it on the market long term for $1,450, all bills paid, including internet. So like, internet's like $75 to $100. And it didn't rent right away because it's kind of a weird layout. And so people couldn't visualize. We had so many people come through, we had so many people, and they kept on being like, it's a little too small. So we put furniture in there, and now it's renting, and we have someone in there that's paying $1,600 a month for like a midterm rental, like while I think they're a nurse. It's a travel nurse. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, so furnished $1,600.
Where did you get the cash to pay for that $31,000?
39,000.
39,000. Yeah.
So we, as a LLC, we have all of our other properties. So we cash flow a good amount and just keep it in the account. And that's something that we talked about too before on here is like when you're building, like we're in building phase, we take $0. So we've invested upfront, each of us the same amount, and then we just use whatever we make from our properties to then invest it back into something else.
And it's smart because if you honestly, if you're just like collecting money and not taking it out, it's kind of not ideal because you're going to have to pay a lot in taxes on it and you're not investing. It's just sitting there. So you want to either take it out or have plans to invest it. So that's smart. You guys are like collecting this lump sum of money, using it to reinvest. And then once you hit your goal, then you can start taking draws because then you guys can do whatever you want with it. I'm sure you're going to use a lot of it to invest and continue to have it grow.
Yes, exactly. And my mom and uncle are obviously older than me. And so I'm excited for them to have like a good, like we are building their retirement. I mean, a piece of their retirement, and it makes me feel good. And also I'll be younger getting this quote unquote retirement. So it's exciting and it's worth it. It is a lot of work. Like, I'm working a lot on this and like communicating and like for $0 right now. So it's like a lot of like putting it off the gratification for later.
But you're doing this now in your 30s. So like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be, and when do you think you guys will be done with this?
We're planning 2025 to have 20 doors and then start taking draws. So I'll be 36.
You'll be in your 30s and have this like same amount of money that your uncle and mom are kind of getting for their retirement, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's see. Okay, so when you're building this out, like what were kind of like the biggest challenges with this project? When did you start it, I guess, and when did you end it first?
Yes.
I want to know just for context.
We started in early June and we ended the last week of July or the beginning of August.
So
right?
Fast.
Yes.
So fast. How?
So the crew that was there was, I mean, it's also such a small amount of space. It's 330 square feet. So like the flooring that they did took them like 3 hours. It's like all of these like small little things, one bathroom, a little kitchen. We got all of the cabinets from Home Depot already built. Like we kind of have a formula where we just like slide things in and then it's done. So it was really, and the fact that we had the crew there, unfortunately, like when someone else GCs it and they're doing everything, they have no excuses. But when I GC it, they're like, oh, well, I need the plumber to come and I can't do anything until the plumber comes. And so I'm like, fuck, the plumber, they're not communicating. I'm like having to get them there. So I think that helps with the speed of things. This crew is also the crew that Stay Tiny Texas, who we had on recently, Sam. He uses this crew to do his tiny homes and they can do one tiny home in 6 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
So
you had that already down. What was like the biggest challenge with this project?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it was just like a constant, like I'm going there and like this little thing, like for example, one time I went there and they had installed the AC and I was like, oh, great. But they had installed the AC line in the front of the house on the outside. So it looked so ugly. I was like, you guys, this is common sense stuff. This is stuff like, move it. You have to change it. And so luckily they were like very realistic and like logical about it. And they were like, you're right. Sorry. And they moved it. So like little stuff like that where it's just constant vigilance. And if like we didn't do much of the work at all on this, and it was just like having to go there and make sure that everything was on track.
That's fair. I think also when you start doing projects, it's always a harsh reminder that you have to be so specific with contractors. You have to like say, I want this in this exact way.
Yes.
I want this tile in this exact way. Like you really have, and you have to remind them. We like in the bathroom, I don't know if we told you this, that the bathroom at the office, we had clay tile, super expensive. It's very specific way you can install this tile. So there's a specific pattern we wanted, and I guess they like didn't Eric's kind of project managing our office, and so I guess he didn't remind them again, like, this is how we need the tile done. So they did a whole wall of the wrong tile.
Are you serious?
And luckily they were able to salvage it and take it off.
Oh my God.
And reuse that tile. But yeah, you're just like,
oh my
guys,
God,
we sent you this. Like, what do you? Anyway, so you gotta just remind them, use like whatever project management like tools. Actually, what do you use to like keep all this in check?
All spreadsheets, just Google spreadsheets. And we have, so my aunt, who's my uncle's wife, she's our bookkeeper, and she, like, every single thing that comes out and in, like, she'll text us like, who just spent money at Home Depot. And that is so valuable. It's like so important to know. That's why I know exactly what we spent. Like, I have every single thing that we spent on that with labor and materials, because she was on top of it. So having someone,
does she want another job?
I know, seriously.
She should work at open house. I'm like, I was thinking about that. I was like, what are we? Yeah, like I'm like,
okay, that's actually really not a bad idea.
Because I'm always like, should we I feel like we should spend more through our business for tax purposes, but then I'm like, but then how much do you spend? How do we know who's tracking that? Da, da, da. And I'm like, it's too much. I don't know.
I know.
Like, I feel like I would just spend too much and then not realize it, and then be like, shit, like, you know, it's just not having someone to keep you accountable to be like, okay, this just came through. What is this? And you're like, oh yeah. I feel like we always have these transactions that we're like,
what is that?
Yes, and they're like, oh yeah,
I know.
So anyway, having a bookkeeper or someone like that on your team it's hard to find, but it's
we didn't have her initially. Like, she wanted something to do, but we were like, I don't know, and we weren't making cash flow. Like, you have to know what you're doing in order to fix it if it needs to be fixed, you know. And like that it was a game changer for our business. So yeah, no one was doing that at our Florida house either. And sometimes it takes a couple years to really like get it right, get the cash flow right, because sometimes things will come up and you just want to throw money at it. So now I'm the one going through everything, looking through everything, and I'm always like, what is this? And but it's not, I don't do it by the week. I do it by like a month or every other month, quarter. Like, it's not consistent, but I am definitely checking it now. And we have $20,000 in our bank account now. So great. Yeah. Much better than last year when it was like, where is all our money? We had such a good summer. Like, what is happening? I know. Exactly. Yes, if you're in the real estate business, yes, you'll know what we're talking about. It just goes away. but yeah, so that has been helpful. And then also having partners is so important to me. I mean, everybody has their strengths, everybody has their and everybody is also very forgiving, and like our relationship above everything. And so my uncle and my mom are just like we would never let anything. People are like, don't do business with family, but like, I know that this will not be the downfall of our relationship.
No, and like, you don't have to share any detail or whatever, but I know it's not like always easy,
right?
Like, I know, like, you know, but it's worth it. And again, I think like I wouldn't do business with my parents, but my parents, like, they have their own, I just don't agree with their values with money, or just in general. And it's just, but again, I feel like if we like actually maybe with like one parent, I could probably like make it work and like try to get through that conflict and like work through it. But yeah, I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing not to do that work with that parent, because it's just I don't know if I'll do work with my sister. So it's like, you choose which family member, or you're choosing like to go through this, and there will be conflict. There's not going to not be conflict. Right. And if there's no conflict, something actually is probably wrong.
Yes. Like, being real. And the differences in, I mean, we haven't had any like disagreements in how to like deploy the funds or anything like that. It's mostly been like little projects where it's just like, this is annoying, or like ongoing annoyances of like, why isn't this getting done? And then you just address it, and then it gets done. You know, it's like, it's been really good, and definitely not for everyone. But at the end of it, like, we'll get anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 a month from like the work that we're putting in. That is 100% worth the little annoyances that we're going through, you know?
Oh yeah, for 100%. Like, and sometimes you'll feel like I've definitely felt like so frustrated, and then I've just had to sit with that feeling for like a week, and then been like, okay, this is not actually that big of a deal. Let me actually work this out in some way. You can't avoid the conflict.
Yeah, that's worse. That makes it
as
worse.
we've learned.
Yeah.
You have to address it, and so I most people they don't understand that if you're just keeping something to yourself, they don't know that you're upset.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people in like a macro sense, I just want to avoid these small things or avoid these confrontations. So they just completely avoid this topic in general, like the topic of investing or topic of partnering. It's like, that's fine. If you really don't want to do it, you don't have to, but it's possible that you're missing out on a big return or like a big opportunity, which is, again, life's totally fine, but
life's going to be hard no matter what.
Yeah.
So if you're choosing to not choose this hard, that's fine. But like, you might, I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of those people who on TikTok who are like, I have no friends to do this with. I have no friends. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, that is maybe the issue that's coming up with not putting yourself out there or not trying to be risky and like go to this random meetup on a Tuesday that you're like, God, I don't want to go to this stupid thing, but like maybe I'll find my best friend there. Right. I don't know. Like doing that 5 times until you, or 20 times or whatever, until you like actually find good friends. And then you know, it's like you have to put in that work. If you don't, your heart will show up in another place.
Yes.
Like
yes.
The heart will show up, and you can't avoid it.
Yes, we are choosing these problems, and I love these problems, and I don't always love them. And like, there's days when I'm just like, fuck, but there's also days where I get to wake up and take a walk with my dog and enjoy my time. You know, there's the payoff is real.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you want to say about this particular project?
I love a shipping container project, and it was already there. However, shipping containers aren't that expensive, and it provides like a structure where you're saving money on materials. I think you can get shipping containers. They're just like everywhere. Maybe like $2,000 to $4,000.
Okay, it's so hot here. How did you handle that? How are you insulating
this?
Oh
yeah, so the insulation. So we had like we used insulation foam board because it's a little thinner, and then he essentially glued like liquid nails, studs, like 1x1 studs, so that you could attach the drywall onto it. So like the shipping container is just the structure. It is metal, yes, but like we have a roof on it, and then we have inside insulation and drywall. So inside it just looks like a normal house, and it really actually is like so insulated, and like you walk in and it's super cool in there. It also, because it is quite small, and we have a mini split in there, and so like it is going so, but as long as you insulate, I think it's working.
How is the roof? It's just like a flat roof. You just put shingles on it?
Exactly. We put like roof paper and stuff on there so that it wouldn't leak.
Okay.
And it is just flat. So like we'll have to be careful if any water pools or whatever. Like you have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, so far so good. We haven't had a heavy rain since it's been built because we're in like a major drought. So there might be some like, you know, some leaks.
You think in a metal?
I don't know. We'll see. Like it shouldn't, but you never know. Like there could be some what is it called when rusting through, like metal will rust.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. I'll keep everyone posted.
Did you paint it before
on the outside?
Or like,
yeah, it's painted and sealed. So like now the rust should be totally fine. But if it was any weak spots before or whatever, because it was just like, you know, raw metal. So, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, you can look up like shipping containers. There's people that will like sell them to you and they'll bring them to you, you know, so it could be a cool idea. If you have some land or if you have an idea, you could plop some shipping containers and build them out.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe we can do a little field trip there one day with our Women Investor Meetup.
Yes.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of field trips to everyone's properties. I think in November, we're going to go to Jen Carey's, one of our realtors on our team. She has a property in Wimberley that she's going to give us a tour of and kind of talk through her numbers and her process and everything. So yeah, I love these little field trips. They've been so cute.
Yes, like learning in real time, and people have been loving them. They've been big turnouts and a lot of learning. So yeah, sign up for our women investor meetups.
Yeah. We just had like a bunch of new people. And if you're not, so we do meet in person every month. Typically, we might actually switch that soon, but we also have a Facebook group. So if you're from out of town, out of state, whatever, you can still join. I just saw someone who posted and was like, I bought a house in Georgia and like I'm house hacking it, and you know, any tips? And then some other lady was like, I live in Georgia. Let me know if you ever want to meet up. So, you know, there's other people in other states there. So you're welcome to join.
Yes. And like the network and the just knowing that this is happening and joining the community, it will help you to normalize it in your own life. So eliminating or lowering your cost of living is like the biggest way to impact your finances.
And I don't know any other brokerage, I say this a lot, that does this. We have realtors all over the country. If you're not in Austin and can't work with our team, hit us up and we'll connect you with someone. But we specialize in this. Everyone on our team's an investor. We've all house hacked and stuff. So we have so many free resources. Our agents are so amazing and helpful, and just like they don't make you feel pressured into, like they don't pressure you into doing anything. Yeah. And it's a lot of education-based learning. Education-based real estate. Yeah. That's what we do.
Yeah. And we walk the walk. Everybody knows what they're doing because they've done it themselves.
Yeah. So, hopefully we'll see you guys at our party. Please RSVP. We're so excited to show you the space. I'm like also nervous because I'm like, we have a lot to do, but we have a long time. Look at it. We do things fast.
We do things so fast. Yeah. 2 months. 2 months for the shipping container. And then can we link I can link the listing if we want. I'll send it to Holly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. If you have any questions about the shipping container, hit us up on Instagram, or if you're in our Facebook groups, you can tag Steph in there and she'll comment.
Please. Love it. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.